Give me a minute. Okay, this video is an introduction to the clothespin puppet project. All right, and we're gonna walk it through beginning to end. First and foremost, you have to come up with an idea. The idea is based off of a silhouette of something, okay? The engineering and design component is going to be centered around a clothespin. The clothespin is going to cause movement in your puppet. Okay, here we have a quick paper puppet. You can do a human or you can do something that's non-human. You want to play around with the design so the opening is not the most obvious. Okay, another thing that you have to have incorporated in your design and engineering is an unexpected reveal. Okay. My little old biddy is going to be lifting a skull out of her pot. She is killer grandma. Okay, that is my unexpected reveal. Note, the opening of the clothespin helps to create the reveal. You do not want to place the clothespin randomly on your shape because it won't always make sense. Okay, here I just kind of cut her in half and slapped her down. She's opening up in the back. Okay, so design-wise, that does not work. All right, so before tomorrow, you want to have your idea good to go, drawn out to size, and you want to have your cans decorated. The whole sheet. Okay, as you can see here, the sheet is cut in half. That's because I've already started to construct my puppet. You want a sheet of this size covered with one pattern, and you're going to need 3. We have 3 so that you can have some prepped mistake material ready to go. All right. Why this is important to do all of this thinking at home is because you're really going to need me for help in putting the puppet together, okay? So I'm going to walk you through the steps so we have a video to watch. You can refer to it. Okay, after you have your patterns drawn out, you know what you want to do for your puppet. You have to figure out your parts, okay? So there's 2 ways you can do that. I'm going to show you the first way because I think it's the most straightforward, okay? So, from my silhouette, I figured out where the heck her body's going to break in half. Her body's going to break in half here, right? I decided the primary pattern I want to use, actually, I need to use 2 separate cans for this. All right. I actually end up using 3 cans total. So, I take my silhouette and then I use the silhouette cutout to make a pattern, okay? You're going to need to account for extra metal so that you can, oops, that doesn't, here, let me move it over, my table's not big enough. Okay, so I made her top body part longer because I'm going to have to wrap it around and sew it onto my clothespin. All right, so we need this extra tab. If you don't have this extra tab, you won't be able to sew the metal on, and we're not allowed to use glue here. Part of the design challenge is cold connection only. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to poke the holes and the construction for the sewing in video number 2. I will highlight that later in this tutorial. Oh my God, distractions. Okay, so here I have my parts. I have my bottom and my top. I have a tab for sewing the bottom part on, okay? You can see that in my bottom pattern. Here, let me show you my pattern better. Okay. So here in my top, I could not fit the entire pot on the width of the can. It got cut off. I didn't worry about it, okay, because I wanted to design my pot separately from a totally plain piece of metal, and I'm just going to staple it right on top. If I did not have this little tab here of scrap, I couldn't staple it on. So I'm going to leave that there. It's part of the problem solving that I had to do. Everybody's going to have different problem solving to do, okay? Now, on my bottom, I had to put an extra tab at the top, and any part that I want to stand out, I'm going to color in the feet black over the patterns I drew. So I colored the feet after I cut it out so that I don't have to do more attaching. Okay, so I'm working smarter, not harder. Some of you may benefit from making a pattern. Okay, I just made a pattern to show you the thinking, and this will also be uploaded in the master document. Okay, great. So after you have your pattern, right, you have to trace it onto the metal. Now I'm going to show you the fastest way of tracing onto the metal right now. What you're going to want to do is you take a sheet of metal, you put your pattern on top, right? You hold it in place. You work on a magazine, okay, because it's cushy, it has some give. You can take a Sharpie and kind of do a quick trace over the edge, like that. Or if you want to put a mark in the metal, you can just trace over with a ballpoint pen, and it will leave a little indent in the metal so you know where to cut. So see here how there's that little indent? It will not indent unless you're on a magazine. If you are working directly on a hard table, it will not indent. Okay? Then you can cut it out, and then you get your pieces. So here are my pieces. Bottom of my puppet, top of my puppet. So again, I wanted her head and the hands to be black. So I colored them in black after I cut her out. All right, so when I sew her to the clothespin, she'll look like this, right? And what I had to do, here, let me get a stapler to hold her down. What I had to do was make some extra parts because I didn't have enough metal. All right, and so those extra parts that I had to make was the skull that was being lifted out, my pot, and then my spoon. Uh-oh, I lost the spoon. Oh, here it is. And my spoon. Okay. There were some design issues I had with the pot, okay? And I'm going to talk about those right now. So the first pot that I had was it was too small. I wanted my skull to be bigger. So I redrew it. So I decided that to make my pot bigger, all I did was trace, I put this over and I just made it a little bit bigger. So that when she pulled the skull out of the pot, you would see it from far away because I really want her to be Killer Granny. And I chose to have the skull just be plain metal and for the pot and the spoon to be black so that it would really be contrasted, the light against the dark, and pop. It would become a center of focus. All right. Now, how am I going to attach all of these things together? I'll show you that in video 2. I'm going to staple the spoon to the hand, and I'm going to staple the skull to the spoon, and then I'm going to staple the pot to her hand, but I'm going to sew the top and the bottom to the clothespin, and then she'll be done. Voila, the end. Okay, so in video 2 that I'm going to post on YouTube, it will be the stapling and the sewing of her. Okay, if you do not have your design drawn out, okay, and thought out in terms of okay, you're going to be behind because you're going to have to do that design work in class. The design work can be done at home, okay? You need space for that type of thinking. If she opens at the mouth, they open at the mouth, it's going to be a meets because that's the most obvious place. Another thing that needs to get done at home are the patterns being drawn out. This is very time consuming and does not need to be done in class. Why you need to get these done before class is because you're going to need help with the construction and I'm going to be there to support you. All right? So you're going to have to rally tonight to get your cans drawn out and your design concept workout. And that's part 1.